I'm Deirdre and I'm an artist based in Cork at the Backwater Artist Studios. I've always been interested in art, and when I was finishing school, I really was torn between choosing art as a possible career path or music, which I also loved and was very much involved in. At the time, I decided to follow music because I had seen from experience that musicians generally started studying very young and continue that without a break, whereas I knew some artists who managed to pick it up later in life and make really interesting work. I went back to study art at the Crawford College of Art and Design in 2017, and I graduated in 2020. The main themes in my work tend to be about looking at the natural world, but this is from the perspective of the built environment. I started really looking at this work at the end of my degree, and it has kind of continued and developed along since then. I grew up, I suppose, in the countryside, not too far from Cork City, but now that I'm in the city, I always feel that I'm missing out on nature and looking out for it. So my practice to begin with, I was really interested in recreating that experience for the viewer of how they experience nature within the city. The medium that I use is oil paint, mostly on wooden panels. I suppose I keep going back to using wooden panels because I have a real affinity to the wood, and I really love getting new sheets of timber from the yard and seeing the different grains and figuration on the wood. And I suppose it goes back to feeling connected to nature and the natural world. So much of the world around us today is made from plastic materials and manufactured items that I really enjoy that, working with timber. I was invited by the Glucksman UCC to take part in a project titled Memory of Place, which involved meeting with a group of older women from around Cork City, both the south and north sides, and talking about their memories and lived experiences of the city. We met as a group several times, and during those sessions, the women shared so many stories and memories of Cork City. It was really incredible, the wealth of knowledge and experience that they shared. I wanted to choose a location for the painting that I was to make for the group that, I suppose, reflected that wide, diverse experience that they had as a group and their many memories. I thought it would be great to show somewhere that was a place that they were all familiar with, that was, I suppose, a thoroughfare that they all knew and had experience of, even if they were from different parts of the city. I ended up choosing Northgate Bridge. I suppose because myself, I had done a lot of paintings around Southgate Bridge on the other side of the city, and after we visited the Cork City Museum, we were looking at the old model, and we were fascinated to see the very first street in Cork went from Southgate Bridge to Northgate Bridge. So I decided to base the painting there. The group had a huge amount of memories of that specific site, and I incorporated some of those into the painting, but I left a lot of the buildings empty because there was such a wealth of information. I really wanted the group to engage with the painting and bring their own memories to it as well when they looked at it. So the second painting I did is based on a talk that Dennis Lenihan gave us about architect Eamon O'Byrne, who he had done research on and written a paper on. He was Cork City architect in the 50s and 60s, and he brought huge change to the city in terms of social housing. He identified that an enormous amount of housing needed to be built, particularly because a lot of people lived in tenements and slum areas. So a lot of those were cleared in the 40s, and he really wanted to make comfortable living spaces for people, which included facilities such as shopping areas, parks, cul-de-sacs. He really wanted to make the place livable for people. One of the things he did was he introduced six new prototypes of buildings to the type of housing that were built in Cork City. Both myself and the group were fascinated by this architect and by his efforts, because we all have experience of these houses, either by seeing them or some of the women had lived in them. So it was great to hear stories of people who lived in those houses, but also they didn't realise the story behind the building of them or the architect and the efforts he made. It was really a very stimulating session that we had, so I wanted to make a painting that would reflect that experience and that memory. I'm delighted that this work is part of the UCC collection as part of the Art Library, and that it will go out and be seen by a large, diverse audience. I think it's very valuable that the women's ideas and memories are carried through to a wider audience, and that their memories and experiences are recorded in this way for future audiences to engage with.